Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Loses Control, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Standing in the middle of the local forest of Wave Country were 4 ninja. The wind had picked up enough speed to send leaves flying between the trees. One leaf flew into the middle of Naruto's forehead on top of his scratched leaf village symbol. Naruto was looking very annoyed, and in a quick huff he blows the leaf off as he watches Kakashi just stand there leaning on his crutches. So Kakashiclops, you're actually on time for one of our training sessions, but you're making as much sense as a book on how to read. Sakura, after thinking about what Naruto said, began to agree with him. Kakashi as always was looking at them with the same bored lazy eye. I'm not joking around, Naruto, I was serious when I said your training was to climb a tree. But there is just one thing, he pauses for affect, no hands. Naruto looked even more annoyed than before as he sneers at the limp-looking Jonin. Sakura had a strange that doesn't make sense look on her face. And Sasuke, like Kakashi, rarely changed his facial expression, but Kakashi could see the glint of a challenge in his eye. Kakashi knew that while Sasuke was still growing up in the Uchiha clan, he would have been exposed to most of the common ninja skills by his clan members. Well then, since I have some skeptics, I'll just show you what I mean. Kakashi then slowly turns and shuffles towards the closest tree, forms a quick seal to focus his chakra, making the grass at his feet move like an outward pulse of air came from under his shoes. Then the looks Kakashi was getting from his 2 lighter-haired students changed to shock as he made contact with his feet on the tree trunk and continued to walk up until he hung upside down looking at them. There you see, the object of this lesson is to use your chakra to hold yourself to the tree. He then throws down 3 kunai at each of their feet, get a running start and use the knife to mark how high up the tree you get. And when you can reach the top, then you have completed the training. Sasuke and Sakura both bent down and picked up their kunai, but Naruto was back to looking annoyed at Kakashi. Humph, what is it now, Naruto? Narrowing his eyes at Kakashi, Naruto says with a growl in his voice, you're still not making any sense. When are you actually going to teach us how to be ninja? When are you going to teach us at least one jutsu? I'm starting to think that you don't know what you're doing as a teacher. Hell, the only things I've learned from you is that you're always late and a pervert. Who can't stop reading. Sakura had instinctively begun to move to stand over and little behind Sasuke when Naruto had started yelling, much to Sasuke's annoyance at the both of them. Kakashi's only reaction was to raise his eyebrow. Oh really, Naruto? I thought you were smarter than this. All your training leading up to now has been the foundation of every ninja skill. All your D-rank missions to get the 3 of you used to working together, and your reactions to our last 2 ninja attacks proved I did a good job with that. Kakashi slowly starts making his way back down the tree, strangely with crutches, and Naruto, not only is the ability to scale any surface with chakra a skill all ninja need to master, but a training tool that can make you even more powerful than before. Even in the future for personal training, you can be creative on how difficult the chakra exercise is, and it will increase your strength and make your jutsu more efficient. Coming to stand in front of the teens, Kakashi closes his exposed eye and holds up his right hand with his index finger up. Chakra, as I'm sure all 3 of you know, is the foundation of ninja ability. This exercise has the purpose of giving you the edge of more maneuverability, but forces you to use your chakra precisely and steadily, which isn't easy. If I were to teach you a jutsu and you were to face off with someone using the same jutsu, then the one with the better chakra control and reserves of chakra wins. Because this exercise uses chakra, it will force your body to expel more than you're used to, which is like working a muscle and will increase your chakra stamina. And more importantly, sending chakra down to your feet through your chakra points is a difficult task. The better you get at it means the stronger and more intense your jutsu will be. And when you learn to make this kind of exercise second nature, then your ability to control chakra will evolve to the next level. In fact, some people progress even further. Naruto folds his arms and takes a slight defiant step towards Kakashi. Fine, if this will make me stronger, then I will overcome. Picking up his kunai out of the ground, Naruto goes to a tree just like the other 2 and looks up. All 3 go through the mental exercises they learned in the academy. Feel their chakra core just behind the navel, feel it spread through the body like tightly wound strings wrapped around their veins. Then concentrate that flow of energy by flexing on their core of power like a muscle to increase the current of chakra to a part of the body and hold it there. Normally a ninja would send their chakra to their hands, weaving signs to fold the energy into specific unique patterns, adding different patterns of overlapping energies together with those hand signs to create jutsu. But as each of them sent chakra down to their feet, they noticed it was harder to keep that energy close to the surface of their skin. Instead it flowed out into the grass in different speeds for each of them. Then, as if all three of them heard the shot to start a race, they ran for their trees. 3 sets of feet hit tree bark. Sasuke's first step was a success and he continued his run up the tree for another 10 steps before losing his footing and slashing at the tree before he fell. Naruto's foot hit the tree, and immediately the bark exploded under his foot, leaving a smoking dent in the tree. And as Naruto and Sasuke hit the ground, they both hear footsteps continue up a tree. Sakura had just taken her last step up before jumping with a twist of her hips and lands on the branch that Kakashi had been hanging from earlier. She looks down at the rest of her team and gives a victory sign while sticking out her tongue. Well, it looks like Sakura has the best chakra control out of the group. Looks like someone hasn't become the strongest yet. And as for the Uchihas, well, they couldn't have been that great if this is what we can expect from the last of them. Kakashi's goading had worked. Both boys glared at Kakashi, then at Sakura, and finally back to their own trees. And then the race began again. For the next couple of hours they kept training. Each of them giving their all. Sakura still made it up the highest out of all 3, but she had to stop before Sasuke and Naruto. So she sat trying to catch her breath while watching the boys train. Sasuke had many more slashes in his tree going further up than his first. Naruto wasn't getting as high up as Sasuke, and he had even less slash marks from his kunai in his tree, but there were many smoking burn spots instead. Sakura kept watching as Sasuke kept running, then slipping and slashing his tree. On his way back down to the ground she was mesmerized by the boy's sweat-covered body and her imagination began running. But she was pulled out of her thoughts when to her right the sound of Naruto crashing to the ground startled her. She watched the dirty blonde spring to his feet, clenching his fists, and roars his frustrations out louder than the last time. There he goes again. Like always he gets frustrated and throws a tantrum. Back in the academy he used to attack the other kids when he got too frustrated, then again that was after kids made fun of him. Sakura was pulled out of her thought when she watched Naruto fall again, but this time in his rage he bares his fangs during his roar and then slashes his claws into his tree. And to her amazement the claw marks in the wood were barely smoking too. It's strange how much he burns the tree with his chakra, and his animal-like features I always thought were strange too. What is it about Naruto that makes him so different? Sakura's curiosity had been piqued as old questions about Naruto had come up, so she waited until Naruto stopped attacking the tree. Hey Naruto. Spinning around fast, his hands out wide with claws and teeth bared, he yells, "What the hell do you want, Pinky?" A little taken back she holds a hand under her chin, and even Sasuke stops to look over after Naruto's outburst. Well, you see, the thing is. Out with it, chick. What is it? Are you going to tell me how to climb trees like the know-it-all you were in school? Feeling a little angry over the treatment she was getting from Naruto, her courage returns. Hey, don't yell at me. All I wanted was to ask you if you had a Kekkei Genkai. Naruto, taken back by the question, didn't answer but looked at her with his head tilted and questioning look on his face. Sasuke was listening now too, even he had thought a few times that Naruto may be hiding a hidden power. And besides, if Naruto has a Kekkei Genkai, then that is just one more thing that the blonde would have before him too. Well Naruto, the reason I ask is you heal really fast, are immune to poison, your teeth have fangs, your hands have claws, your eyes are slits instead of round pupils, and when you get angry and use your chakra it gets hotter around you. I mean, come on, you're blackening and burning that tree by touching it. Sasuke chimes in, yeah, what are you, an Inuzuka or a cousin of their clan? Looking back and forth between the two of them, Naruto could see that both of them were sincere in their questions. They were honestly curious, and for the first time they wanted to get to know him. Crossing his arms and turning sideways to look at him out the corner of his eye, he says, I'm not telling you guys. And then turns just in time to see the disappointed look on Sakura's face and the pissed off look on Sasuke's, and then goes right back to climbing the tree, ignoring them both. Back at Tazuna's house, Kakashi was sitting at the family table being served tea by Tsunami. He was stuck on a conversation he had a few months back with the third Hokage. Kakashi, The third Hokage grips the tip of his hat as he turns to look at the silver-haired Jonin. I am going to ask you to do something that I asked Iruka to do for me when Naruto first came to learn from him. Kakashi was standing in his usual slack stance. Something you're worried about. I am keeping my eyes open, but the ones who are concerned are on the village council. Particularly Danzo, who insists that the Jinchuriki be trained in the Anbu Corps as he would say it. The other council members' fear of Naruto getting too strong in the strength of Anbu Corps is all that keeps them on my side. But, his favor is limited, as you know from first-hand experience how much trouble Naruto can cause after years of capturing him after many of his pranks. He has only me looking out for his best interests on the council. Kakashi absent-mindedly was reaching for his book but froze while listening to his cage. Well, he did have some close calls over the years. Some of his pranks even got him a few attempted civilian assassinations. The worst was when the Uchiha clan had caught Naruto for the third time sneaking into their compound. They roughed him up so bad he had to go to the hospital. He would have died from mistreatment in the hospital if I hadn't posted up in his room. He really doesn't have anyone else in the world but us is what I hear you saying, and now I'm sensing a but. Kakashi closes the gap to stand next to the Hokage and stare his one eye out on the village. But, his actions and his treatment of other people has the council at my heels, and there is only so far I can assure them until they start making political demands where I will have to compromise to their legal entitlements. Eventually Naruto would have the council screaming for us to do something about him, and I would have to agree. Kakashi continues to listen, but his frown was his only sign to his concern. What I need to keep from happening is letting the council members fear from having him back Danzo's repeated suggestions to vote Naruto into the Anbu Corps property. And I know the old hawk, he will convince them that Naruto being a Jinchuriki must have special secret classification above and beyond the Anbu. Which would legally mean he would be in the perfect situation for Danzo to force me send him there. Turning to look into the cage's eyes, Kakashi knew what the old man was saying, root. Kakashi knew Naruto was tough and very stubborn-willed, but in root he would be at the mercy of Anbu who are not afraid to use the worst of the worst but effective brainwashing techniques. Naruto would be a killing machine with the power of the nine-tailed fox demon at the disposal of a power-hungry sociopath. Hell, Danzo would probably use Naruto to destabilize the ninja world into another war. Kakashi. Pulled out of his thoughts, the gray-haired Jonin listens intently and stares into the aged face of his leader. I need you to find Naruto's humanity. I need you to find a way to get to him and make him into a leaf ninja. I need you to help me find out if Naruto's soul can blaze with the will of fire, or if his soul just burns with hate. Back to the present, Kakashi takes a sip of his tea and continues to think. Naruto definitely has the potential to be a strong ninja. He may even already have the instinct to kill if his fridge is any sign. But Lord Hokage is right. The boy's behavior makes him, in my opinion, very fox-like. Very secretive, very aggressive, and seems to hate everyone. What a mission. I have train and make Naruto into a model leaf nin, but keep my eye out for evil intent. Taking the last sip of his tea, Kakashi lifts his mask back up and turns to look at Tsunami, who had been staring at Kakashi's face, was biting her finger while stroking her thigh as her legs rubbed together. Kakashi smiles under his mask and thinks, oh my, time to test my endurance. Back in the forest the next day was Sasuke and Naruto back in front of their trees. Each of them took turns to focus their chakra. Sakura had had enough of the bickering and backhanded comments about her getting to the top of her tree first and had told both of them how to focus their chakra. And today they both were in a race to match Sakura's success and reach the top. Every once in a while they would stare each other down and then climb even higher. Naruto had caught up to Sasuke, which made Sasuke go up 3 marks. Then Naruto went up 4 marks past his raven-haired rival, and they kept it at this pace the whole day. Sakura was spending her days with Tazuna as his guard while he worked to complete his bridge. And later that night at dinner she was very unsuccessfully trying to convey to the boys how sad and impoverished the town was while Naruto and Sasuke stared each other down. It started when Sasuke had quickly snatched the first piece of fish, which was the one Naruto had been reaching for, and now the race was on again. Almost like they were trying to continue their race in the forest, but with the dinner they ate furiously. After Sasuke had finished he jumped up and called out for more, then turned and puked his whole dinner behind him. Naruto, leaning back and putting his hands on his stomach, lets out a loud belch. Like I said, I never throw up. Like you, loser. Sasuke jumps forward, slamming his hands on the table, glaring at Naruto, who jumps up in turn and starts reaching with his claws for Sasuke's face. But before both of them could get into another fight that would send them rolling and flying around the dining room, Kakashi put a hand on each of the boys' heads and slammed them back into their seats. Now boys, dinner isn't about a competition, it's about rebuilding your chakra for more training tomorrow. You can't do that by burning up the calories right now with a fight, and definitely not by throwing up. Naruto rolled his head out of under Kakashi's hand and bares his teeth at Sasuke. Then tell Prissy Pants here to stop staring me down and try to steal my food before I give him some scars. And I need this food more. My path to power is more important than yours. In fact, my goals have honor and purpose. I don't even think you have a purpose or goal at all, so what are you even doing here? Before Naruto can give his heated retort, Inari, the quiet brooding youngest member of Tazuna's family, says, "You're all stupid, and you're going to die." All eyes turn to Inari as the boy stares off at the wall. Sakura looks where Inari's eyes are stuck to on the wall. Say, Inari, why are you so sad all the time, and why do you keep staring at that torn picture? The ninja could feel the three civilians take in a collective gasp, their bodies tense just enough to tell they were affected greatly by Sakura's question. Then Tazuna stood up and put his hands on Inari's shoulders, and told everyone the story of Kaiser the Brave. And when he had told them all of how the hero of Wave Country was murdered and used as a submissive fear tactic on the village, Inari wept. Sakura, feeling and looking sad, turned to Sasuke, who had a faraway look in his eyes with just a little bit of sadness. Kakashi looked back and forth between the two adults as they began to tear up. But Naruto had heard enough. He stood and clenched his fists in the air with one foot up on the stool and declared, "Whatever, you weak little runt, if someone takes from you, then you take from them. If someone hurts you, then you hurt them back. If someone comes to kill you or your family and is dumb enough to leave you alive, then you spend your time until you can look them in the eye and stab them in the heart. Because you have no courage, you needed daddy to make you brave is why you're weak. If you want to live your life in this pitiful way, then you're worse than scum. That's enough, Naruto." Kakashi was sternly looking into Naruto's eyes, telling him with a glare he had gone too far. Inari, feeling hot from anger, yells through tears, "Yeah, well, you're the idiot here. Nothing you do and no training will make you strong enough to stop Goto. He'll just hire more goons until you're all dead. Especially you, you insane animal." Kakashi barely caught Naruto when he lunged forward, swiping a punch at Inari's head. Holding his arm around the blonde's shoulders, Kakashi had to grab one of Naruto's arms and hold it behind the teen's back to keep him from squirming away. But Kakashi's hold didn't stop Naruto's mouth. "You little shit, you talk to me like that again and I'll gut you. You're a pathetic weakling that should go and crawl into a ball somewhere and die from feeling sorry for yourself. If you're not willing to fight for your life, then you get to be a sheep and do what you're told until it is time to be culled." Looking over his shoulder, Naruto looked into Kakashi's eye to show him his rage for the most part had subsided, so the Jonin didn't fight Naruto as he jerked himself out of his hold and walked to the door to kick it open and run off into the night. Inari too twisted out of his grandfather's grab and ran off somewhere, leaving a slightly stunned group behind. A few hours later, Kakashi had moved with the quiet of a ninja and found Inari sitting on the edge of the house's outer walkway over the water. He moved and finally made a sound as he positioned himself beside the young boy. "Can I sit here?" Not hearing a objection, the Jonin sat down and dangled his feet just above the water. "You know, you shouldn't take what Naruto says too personally, or think that he has something personal against you. He's actually like that to everyone. There isn't one person that Naruto is nice to." Inari slightly mumbles, "He's a big jerk." Kakashi folds his arms and laughs a little. "Yeah, he can be a jerk, which has to be the nicest name I've heard Naruto being called. But listening to him yell at you, I realized that Naruto had done something I have never heard him do before. He gave you advice." Inari looks up very confused at Kakashi. Kakashi does his upside down eye smile and continues, "Naruto always insults, attacks verbally and physically. He always makes a joke to put someone down and seem smart, but this time he spoke on ways to better your life. He showed in his own way that he cares, if only a little, about you. You see, he grew up never knowing his parents, never being loved, always watching out for himself. Because of this, many of the ninja of the Leaf Village, including me, believe that is part of the reason why he is the way he is. Always feeling alone and not wanted must have been the worst feeling of his life. But Naruto does not stay down. Once knocked down, he gets back up and faces his challenge. I've watched him his whole life, and I've never once seen him cry. Once he was in the academy as a small boy, he worked hard every day to gain more strength. We humans gain more confidence when we gain more strength, and the repetitions make us better and faster than we were before. Naruto knows what it means to be strong, and as bad as what he said to you was, I'm sure he has said it to himself at one point too in order to get past his own pain. He hates his own weakness and works hard to rid himself of it. And, even as dark as his own words were to you, he told you his way to be strong because he would rather not see you wallow in your pain too. Maybe, for the first time, Naruto is showing caring in his own way. Inari had been staring at the masked man, and turning back to the dark sea he thinks on these words. And Kakashi let the silence hang while Inari worked the words through his young brain. Then Tsunami had come outside calling for Inari to come to bed and the boy ran off inside the warm house. Slowly standing up, Kakashi tests his legs by bending his knees slightly, then all of a sudden with barely a bend to his knees Kakashi springs into the air. Then landing lightly on the roof tiles of Tazuna's family house, Kakashi looks down at Naruto who was laying on the tiles with his hands behind his head. Oh Naruto, there you are. Say, did you hear all that? Frowning up at the Jonin, Naruto growls out, how could I not hear you? You were right below me. And you're wrong about me, I don't care about the kid. Kakashi raises an eyebrow and waits for Naruto to continue. I just hate weakness. That kid wouldn't survive in nature, he would be so scared and pathetic that he would cry while something ate him. He. Well, I'm not so sure about that, you both do have a lot in common. You both have faced and dealt with loss, you both even have had fathers willing to die for you. Kakashi wasn't staring at anything in particular, but he kept his eyes still as he felt Naruto's gaze on him. Whatever, big deal. You have been watching me my whole life, and you think that means you know what I'm thinking. The hell with you, dog face. So, you know it was me then, huh? That hair of yours, let's just say you better hope you're never in a line-up, you're kinda memorable. Even with your white Anbu dog mask I could recognize you. Not to mention I know your scent, after all you have been the one to catch me for many years. Which I guess it makes sense that they would pick my babysitter to be my teacher, you and that stolen Sharingan. Kakashi almost flinched, he was that surprised. And the heat of the comment made him decide to switch tactics. Say Naruto, I've got a question for you. Do you remember, I mean before everything, being the nine-tailed fox? In that instant after Kakashi had finished his sentence Naruto's world went red, and the sound of the wind and ocean was deafening in the silence between them. In his mind he was in shock and in that moment quickly caught the muscles in his face from pulling back in surprise. In the next moment he tried to organize his thoughts, but they were racing out of control. What did he say? What do I do now? How does he know? How long has he known? Is this a trap? Do I try and kill him? What do I say? No. Calm down. Looking over at the Jonin who was staring and watching every reaction he asks, what are you talking about Kakashi? You're not making any sense. Kakashi waits then says, I know that according to the interrogation of Mizuki that he told you that you have the nine-tailed fox sealed inside of you, and that you said you knew. He said you were not surprised, so I ask again. Do you remember being the fox demon? Naruto slowly stands up and faces the Jonin. You think a boy can go through his whole life being called demon and not figure things out? You think that fear and hate in the eyes of people who just look at you doesn't send a message? You people of the Leaf Village hate me, and I hate them in return. They tried to kill me, so I attack just as lethal. If what I do reminds you of a fox, then yeah, I guess it could make sense since I have him locked up in me. But you know the truth, just like me, I treat people the way I'm treated. So if I'm a demon, then it's because the leaf is making me into one, and I don't have a problem with that. Putting his hand on his hip on the side without the crutch, Kakashi says, you still haven't answered my question. I haven't felt any demon power, nor heard any voices in my head to tell me what to do or what to think, so to answer your question, no. Looking into Naruto's intent expression, Kakashi decided to relent. You do have great potential, Naruto, but your goal of gaining ultimate strength will never succeed in the way you're doing it. A human being doesn't reach their full potential from rage, they gain power when something or someone they love is in danger. A human's need to protect is much more powerful than a human's need for revenge. Anyway, it's late, let's go inside and get some rest so you can get right back to training tomorrow. Turning and walking back to one of the house windows, Kakashi hears Naruto run and jump off the roof to take off in the direction of the tree climbing training ground. Thinking sadly to himself, Kakashi shakes his head as he watches Naruto race away. Naruto, you have to start listening now. You're at the stage in your ninja training that if you don't change your ways you may never become stronger than a genin. There is more than one way to discover strength. The morning sun was shining through the trees of the forest, just bright enough to make solid beams of light shining through the shadows. The sounds of the forest waking up were getting louder, birds chirping, trees groaning as they heated up, animals rustling in the foliage. And working his way through one of the small meadows and its bushes was a boy dressed in a pink kimono. Every once in a while he would grasp a handful of grass or flowers and put them in his basket. Walking like he was in a daze, he was looking at every surface in order to find the herbs and fungi he needs to make the medicine that will purge the leftover bits of poison in his master's muscles. I'm failing, Master Zabuza. I cannot find the black worm moss in this area. The air is as moist here as it is in Kiri, so I was hoping the moss would grow here too. If we can't remove the poison from his muscles, his arm won't heal fully before the target finishes his bridge. And we need to be ready for this team. That blonde kid and Kakashi of the Sharingan will be our biggest obstacles. Walking around the base of a large tree, he looks around its base and sees none of the black-brown fungi that he needs. Then he looks up. The tree had slash marks running up the trunk of the tree, and ninja sandal prints could be barely made out on the bark over and over again. What is this? Turning in a semicircle, he sees another tree just like this one, and when he turns again he sees the dirty form of the little blonde leaf ninja sleeping in the middle of the clearing. Shock can be seen in Haku's eyes as his mind races. It's him, the one who poisoned Master Zabuza. He's all alone out here and I have 6 senbon in my belt. I will do as I must. Haku puts down his basket in the grass and stealthily stalks forward the sleeping boy. Careful to not make a sound, he gets right next to him and bends down, pulling out 2 senbon and placing them in his fingers. Positioning his hand, Haku aims his needles at the boy's carotid artery and between his spine for the cord. A quick and easy death for a little demon. While I could have taken care of you when we attack your team later, you will die today for your actions. And in one swift motion Haku struck his targets perfectly, just as his master taught him. Keeping his eyes trained on his target, he waits the 34 milliseconds it usually takes for the quick spurt of blood and paralyzed death of the leaf nin. But instead of blood, the skin around the needles begin to expand like a balloon. And before the full second finishes, Haku has enough time to widen his eyes before Naruto's clone blows up with the exploding shadow clone jutsu. Haku had no chance to defend himself. He took the blast crouched on his knees and the force slammed into his torso. As he was flying back through the air, Haku could feel his burnt skin cracking and his shirt melting in places to his torso. His flight stops abruptly when he impacts a tree and settles there grimacing in pain. Then he hears him. Naruto bursts out of the bushes and runs at full speed at Haku. Right hand snags a kunai from its holster in a flash. And in the last step Naruto slashes down into the ground, running the tip through the dirt into an upward slash that would embed the kunai into the base of Haku's skull under the jaw. When the knife finds purchase, the sound of broken ice and the thud from the tree hits his ears. Looking at Haku during his attack was like watching someone who was made of water lean back and slip into the small sheet of ice at his back. And just like last time, Haku made his escape, teleporting away, leaving Naruto to rage and roar through the forest looking for his prey. But the only scent left of him was in his basket back by the training ground. Kicking the basket, Naruto spills the herbs back to the forest floor and throws his kunai back up at the top of his score marks on his tree, thinking on his frustrating morning. Not only was he not at the top of the tree after a full night of training, but he missed his chance to kill an enemy for a second time. I will admit that I feel myself getting stronger. I already have lethal instincts that I have kept at bay for too long. But I'm not. Hey Naruto. Turning to look over at Sasuke as he walked back into the clearing, he snorts as his response. Dobe, did you completely forget about breakfast? Kakashi had to send me out here to find your sorry ass. Then Sasuke really takes in the area around him. A part of the ground had been blasted, and one of the trees had what looked like a piece of burnt shirt and way more moisture than there should be at the ground. What happened here? 6 feet happened. Naruto with his hands on his hips stares down Sasuke, but the other boy looked at Naruto like he just said something in a foreign language. What are you saying, Dobe? Naruto looks back up to his tree where he threw his kunai. I'm 6 feet ahead of you, loser. Then Naruto runs right back up the tree to go get his knife. Before he slips and falls, he slashes the tree, then lands right back in front of Sasuke, make that 10 feet. Then the race between the boys starts again. Breakfast had been missing the boys. At first it was just one and it was quiet, but with Sasuke missing, Sakura wouldn't shut up. So Kakashi had taken the chatty girl with him to the forest looking for Naruto and Sasuke. And after they had made it to the clearing with the scarred trees, she was finally not talking for a while. SAAAAAASUUUUUKEEEEE. She never quits. But after she continued calling out his name to the empty clearing, Kakashi was starting to worry about the boys when he too saw the battle damage done to the area. Then pulling both of them out of their worried thoughts was the kunai that sliced through the air and embedded in the ground at their feet. Following the path the kunai took, their eyes went up, and up to the tops of the trees where both Sasuke and Naruto were staring down at them. Then Sasuke with smirk calls out, "I made it to the top, we both did, finally. Yay Sasuke, you're the best." Sakura's inner fangirl couldn't control her from clasping her hands together and giving a few little hops in her joy. Kakashi couldn't help but smirk at how fast they both mastered this exercise. "That's great news, boys. Then starting tomorrow you're both working as bodyguards on the bridge." Sasuke looks over at Naruto, who was still looking at him with that challenge on his face. "Let's go, Dobe, the contest is over." Naruto snorts at him and says before jumping back down, "Yeah, and I won, my tree is taller." Sasuke in a rage rushes down to beat Naruto to the bottom, and in a blur he appeared right next to Kakashi and Sakura, who was still looking up. Sasuke almost looked up too but didn't need to when Kakashi took 2 steps forward and caught the unconscious falling Naruto. Boom. Chakra exhaustion, he has been at this for almost 32 hours. Oh well, maybe he gets the day off then. Come on guys, let's go back. In a deeper, darker forest back on the mainland there was Goto's hideout built in the trees like a massive luxury tree house. And inside one of the locked rooms was Zabuza's and Haku's quarters. In the last 5 days they had both not left except Haku earlier this morning, and when he came back no one could get him to answer the door. Goto finally came knocking and everyone finally left him alone after Zabuza's sword came through the wall just above the small gangster's head and killing his only remaining samurai guard. Goto finally retreated when he heard Zabuza gruffly say behind the door that the bridge builder would die tomorrow. The inside of the room was a sign of Zabuza's frustration. Almost every bit of furniture and decoration had been broken, slashed, or thrown across the room. Zabuza's arm had not fully healed. While he had enough power and strength to wield his big sword after letting his body heal for the last couple days, he still wasn't at 100%. The poison that he had been exposed to had been deposited right into his muscle and his bloodstream. And worse, it was the same poison that the demon brothers used, which not only killed but was designed in order to disable ninja by killing muscle fibers and disrupting the chakra network. But he needed to fulfill his contract with Goto to get the rest of his money, and it was a stupid idea for any ninja to face an equal-leveled opponent when you were not your best. And worse, his chakra could falter during a technique, leaving an opening to be taken out. But he still had a strategy that Haku had deduced watching their fight that could help him outmaneuver Kakashi, and they already came up with a plan. But now, after Haku returned with his new wounds, Zabuza had raged that he now had to change his plan. But after calming down and watching Haku clean and apply salve before bandaging his arms and chest, Zabuza decided that their original plan would still work. Haku would distract and disable the teens while Zabuza would take out Kakashi. The only change that needed to be added to the original plan was to take out the little blonde one first. If either one of them were in a position to kill the little leaf nin, they would. Both of their wounds had been given to them from the genin, and Zabuza couldn't stand the fact that he had been so easily beaten by a rookie. Tomorrow, Haku, we finish this. Wave Country was very beautiful. By 7 a.m. the mists would disappear, making the early morning sun reflect off the waves across the sea. Tazuna had picked out this spot on the coast years ago, as he was telling the ninja at breakfast this morning. Back when he had been courting Tsunami's mother was when he built the home his family still lived in today. He had pictured the structure from this one angle where the dining room window would have the best view of the ocean. And he was right. The 2 teens and their sensei had been captivated by the morning light from the ocean view. Sakura had turned back to catch Sasuke in the eye, and she smiled at him as her pink hair settled around her head. Sasuke would normally have turned away, but his eyes lingered instead. Her smile reminded him of one his mother used to give, eyes turned to upside-down smiles and a wide loving smile on her lips. With the light shining it made her skin seem to glow, and when Sasuke realized he was letting his eyes take in the sight of Sakura, he turned his head sharply back to his plate. Kakashi raises his hand to his mask and coughs to clear his throat. Alright everyone, let's get the day started and move out. Sakura leans forward and asks, Kakashi-sensei, how long is Naruto going to be asleep? Is it really okay for us to leave him? Thinking for a moment before standing up and attaching his back weapon's holster, he looks at her and says, he has been asleep longer than I thought he would, and Tazuna just needs another day and his bridge makes contact with the mainland. With the bridge a day away from completion, then if there is going to be an attack, it's probably going to be today. It would be better for him to be with us, but chakra exhaustion is a tricky thing. It's better left for the body to repair on its own. If we push him too early, then there is a chance he would be more a problem than a help. And besides, do you want to be the lucky one to go and wake him up? So the group departed, leaving Tsunami to clean up breakfast. And for the next half an hour it was quiet in the house. Tsunami was cleaning the kitchen, Inari was playing in his room, and Naruto was snoring on the futon in the ninja's room. But the front door all of a sudden gets kicked in. Tsunami drops the dishes in her hands and screams as thugs rush into her house. Two men grab a hold of her and yell at her to be quiet. The boss said there was a kid in the house, search every room. 5 of Guto's thugs rush upstairs and almost immediately 2 come downstairs with the squirming Inari being held in the air by his arms. Pulling out a sword, the biggest thug that seemed like the leader yells at the 2 hostages while pointing the blade's tip at them. Now our boss says you're coming with US, don't give US trouble or else we take it out on the other one. Then everyone turns their head in the direction of the stairs when they all heard the sound of quick heavy feet coming from the second floor. The sound goes for a couple seconds, then they all hear loud heavy thuds, and then silence. Hey guys, what's going on up there? Hearing nothing, the leader nods to 2 more to go up, go check it out, now. The 2 thugs pull out their weapons and take a few cautious steps towards the stairs looking up. Then they go up the stairs quickly and again everyone listens to the sounds of heavy men's footsteps. The next sound is the slow creaking of a door opening and then, holy crap, how'd this happen? The next sound is more footsteps, then out of nowhere a grunt of pain and a heavy thud on the floorboards. Then a scared scream and rushed footsteps were moving towards the stairs, but the next sound was a yelp of pain. Everyone's expression was turning to fear, but the thugs were shaking by the time the body of the guy they just heard die slid down the stairs with shuriken and kunai sticking out of his back. Then they hear more footsteps come heavily down the stairs. Everyone stares in expectation, and when they see who it's coming down the stairs, one of the men dropped a brick. Naruto was standing there with his jacket open hanging on his shoulders, and his claws were dripping blood. Crimson Eyes look up at the remaining thugs and he bends down while staring at them, pulling 2 bloody kunai from the corpse. 3 little piggies left, huh, this is the first time I've been allowed to fight non-ninja. It's easy. The leader rushes forward yelling and swinging his sword clumsily at the bloody blonde. Naruto hops forward in a crouch and makes an X with his kunai, then catches the sword between the cross tips and swings it, sending the blade out to the side and forces his enemy's arms wide open. And in a flash the young ninja dove one blade through the femoral artery in the thug's thigh and the other through his neck. And a couple squirts of blood spray after Naruto quickly removes his blades and the big man falls to the floor blubbering as he choked to death on his own blood. Naruto looks up at the 2 remaining mercenaries and smiles menacingly, now there's 2. Hey, look. Both thugs dropped their weapons and started backing away from Tsunami and Inari. We're leaving, okay, so we got new problems, man. Naruto stares at them and watches them walk towards the door. Sure guys, why not, no hard feelings. Then the 2 thugs run out the door, running for their lives, one even gives scared squeal. Then Naruto smiles when he sees the 2 of them step into his traps as exploding notes attach to the bottom of their feet. Never underestimate the predictability of stupidity. Then points his right hand at the fleeing men. He makes a hand sign and yells, Kai. Then everyone witnesses the legs get blown off the thugs and each of them fall into the ocean to die. Then standing with his hands on his hips, Naruto laughs out loud and turns to Tsunami pointing a finger at her. Where are the rest of the ninja? Did they go to the bridge? Tsunami nods and Naruto deposits his kunai back in his pouch and even retrieves the bloody shuriken from the corpse on the floor. Inari just stares at Naruto, eyes wide not believing what he just saw. Naruto, you're really strong, aren't you? Naruto reattaches the button on his weapons pouch and looks at the little boy, you have no idea. then runs out of the building in the direction of the bridge, leaving the stunned civilians with several corpses in their house. The group had made their way to the bridge slowly, and after walking for 25 minutes they finally made it to the bridge. And they all stopped still when they saw the blood and bodies strewn across the nearly completed bridge. And as if responding to a unanimous thought, the area began filling with mist. Kakashi-sensei, it's Zabuza's hidden mist jutsu, isn't it? After telling everyone to get ready and they each pull out kunai and shuriken, then they witness a blob of water rise up and move over the edge of the bridge and begin to pull at the corner of the concrete floor. Then sudden shots rocket out of the pool of water and condense into replicas of Zabuza running at the group. 5 water clones in all are running full sprint and zero in on the smirking Sasuke. Then in a blur Sasuke twists and sends the tip of his kunai into the throat of the clone, making it burst into water. Then jumping into the air, Sasuke uses his speed to jump spin flip just right to send his 2 kunai into a perfect arc, slicing 2 more water clones collarbone to hip. Sakura crossing her arms while eyeing the last 2 clones who had jumped into the air ready to swing the giant swords at the group. Then thinking back to what she had learned from her training in the forest, she sends chakra to her arms. Her muscles pulse with energy and strength, and she sends the shuriken at the clones so fast they didn't have a chance to move to dodge or intercept the spinning razors. The clones burst and splashed the whole group with sea water. Very good, Sasuke and Sakura, very smart application. So Zabuza, you finally decided to show your face again, huh? I bet it was burning you as much as the poison that you had to wait to fight me again. Am I right? Out of the fog walked the 2 mist ninja. Both had their limbs wrapped in shredded bandages, and it looked like the teen with the mask was favoring his right sight a little. Sasuke decides to chime in, say, you guys don't look so good, you sure you want to go through with this? Kakashi steps forward reaching for his headband and says, yeah, I remember the kid and how easily he was exposed by Naruto, and it looks like the kid is in worse shape than you, Zabuza. What happened? Did you fall asleep with a cigarette in your mouths? Cause I know someone that happened too. This might not go so well for you, ya know. Zabuza glares and frowns at him. Say what you want, but we're ending this quick. It's a shame that blonde bastard isn't here so he can die with the rest of you. Now, do it, Haku. The teen raises his hands and does a few hand signs, and Kakashi and his group feels the air around them suddenly turn cold, real cold. Sakura and Sasuke look down at the water at their feet begin to turn to ice, even their clothes were starting to ice up. And suddenly the water and ice jumps up surrounding the group on all angles and turns into thousands of ice needles. Kakashi yells out to the group, everyone hands together on the ground now. Sakura grabs Tazuna's wrist and pulls him to the ground, putting his and her hands on top Sasuke's. And as they all heard Haku yell out, 1,000 needles of death. They watched Kakashi rush through hand signs at an unreal speed, and slam his hands on top of the group's hands yelling, Earth style, dirt trapdoor jutsu. And before the ice needles could fly in and stab the group to death, they sank into the ground like it suddenly turned to water, leaving the ice to embed in the solid ground left behind. Both Zabuza and Haku stare in surprise as the group pops out of the ground 10 feet back from where they disappeared. Tazuna falls on his butt and holds his chest while trying to breathe and say, I can't believe what you ninja are capable of, no wonder you're so expensive. Kakashi walks forward and pulls his headband up to reveal his Sharingan and says, Sakura, stay with Tazuna. Sasuke, it looks like you're taking the masked faker while I take Zabuza. Stay sharp and alive. Sasuke snorts and says, yeah, I want to take out the faker, who does he think he is trying to trick us to kill us? Oh Sasuke, you're so cool. Kakashi face faults a little and thinks, UHG, even now she can't help herself. Zabuza laughs and says, sounds fine with me, Haku will take the brat, then whispers to the masked boy next to him, take that runt out, and we get rid of more backup for Kakashi. Then we take him, use your ice mirrors. Haku only nods, and even that movement sent a twitch of pain over his burnt skin. Haku knew why Zabuza was in a hurry, they knew from the look of them that they were hiding wounds under their bandages. Both of them were trained to ignore pain, and when you can't ignore it, use it to increase your focus and strength. The bloody mist way. Sasuke rushes forward and so does Haku. Sasuke throws shuriken and before the spinning blades can hit the bandaged ninja, Haku suddenly starts spinning like a miniature tornado and whipping the wind around him, bouncing the weapons away. When Haku comes out of the spin sliding on the wet ground in a blur, he brings 2 senbon in his hand at Sasuke, who intercepts them with his kunai. And the exchange continues, sending sparks from loud clashes of metal. Sasuke would slash and Haku would block, Haku would stab and Sasuke would dodge. Each of them showing great speed and accuracy. Zabuza watches the exchange and his anger comes out as he growls, "Haku, you're faster than this, remember the plan and take him out." Listening to his master was distracting Haku enough to take a hit to the face. Sasuke's foot sends the teen flying back, and as Haku slides and shakes a bit before getting up, a little bit of blood can be seen starting to blotch the bandages on Haku's arms as he raises them to fold his fingers together to use his Kekkei Genkai. And the moisture in the air could be seen as heavy mist was being pulled in, creating the flat rectangles of ice mirrors surrounding Sasuke, making the whole area as cold as a glacier. Sasuke looked around him and saw his reflections stare back at him from all sides. He could see Haku step into one of the mirrors and then the reflections all changed to show the mask image of the Mist Ninja. "Now, I'm sorry to say, is the end. We can't waste time here and I must kill you." And then Sasuke was stunned by the sudden pain of needles slicing his skin. It happened so fast that he was reeling around trying to find where the attack was coming from. Then it happened again, and again, and again until the sight of a bloody Sasuke with a bunch of needles sticking in him made Sakura scream, "Sasuke." She had had enough. When Sasuke started taking needles to his torso, Kakashi had tried rushing forward to help but was cut off by Zabuza, and so Sakura had rushed a few steps to throw kunai at the ice. But amazingly enough, Haku had seen the attack and slipped out of his ice to deflect and catch her weapons. Turning his mask to her, Haku says, "It's too bad but I'm going to kill your friend, and if you get in my way when I come for the bridge builder, then I'll kill you too." Then Haku goes right back inside his ice and tells Sasuke he was sorry for the interruption. And more needles pierce his skin, even Sakura's kunai comes flying at him. Sasuke twists and catches the kunai before it hits the ground and blocks some needles but falls to one knee after taking a few more needles. "I'm starting to feel lightheaded, this is looking bad. I'm getting better at seeing the needles, but my injuries are starting to affect my movement." Sasuke grits his teeth as he looks from mirror to mirror trying to find a clue to beat this jutsu. He then goes through the hand signs for his favorite technique, Grand Fireball Jutsu. The big ball of fire hits 3 mirrors and makes some steam rise off the surface. That's it. Sasuke's eyes go wide in shock that his strongest jutsu was useless against this technique. Haku's image pulls out 4 kunai in each hand and twists each image ready to throw. "This is it, I have given you enough chances to fight for your life. Goodbye." All Sasuke can hear after believing what Haku just said was his heartbeat. Loud like the boom from a volcano, his heartbeat vibrates his whole body with the realization that, he's going to kill me, I'm not going to face my brother. Then the knives came for him, flying from multiple directions, homing in on fatal hit points all over his body. Sasuke would die quick. "No, I will not die here. I will survive to face him." And with a pulse of red light, Sasuke used the kunai in his hand and pulls out a needle in his leg to deflect every one of the flying weapons. Haku gasped in surprise at what he saw. No one has ever moved fast enough to deflect his weapons before. And then he saw them. Sasuke's eyes had changed. They were black before, and now they were a bright red. One eye had 2 comma marks while the other only had 1. It was the same Haku saw in Kakashi's left eye. That's the Sharingan, so that would make him an Uchiha. Sasuke just kept his eyes open and weapons ready. While Haku stares and thinks of a strategy to get past this new obstacle, neither of them had noticed the mist had thickened around them some time ago. While the teens were going at it, Kakashi had begun fighting Zabuza, who had cast his favorite jutsu and had bragged that he knew a way to get around the Leaf Jonan's Sharingan. Kakashi was thinking on what Zabuza's next move would be and he realized, the bridge builder. Sakura had gone back to guard Tazuna when the mist had thickened, and she tensed. For a moment she felt the mist shift suddenly, and then hardened the grip she had on her kunai. And the next few moments were a blur for the girl as the running form of Zabuza appeared out of nowhere a few feet away with his sword ready to strike, only to end with Kakashi sliding to a stop in front of Sakura. The massive head cleaver came down and was narrowly deflected by Kakashi's kunai, but the edge of the blade still cut into his chest, spilling blood on the sword. Zabuza laughs and disappears into the mist. "Your last defense was that one. The next time we clash I cut you in half. Can't get me with that damn Sharingan now, eh Kakashi? Sakura, you're doing a good job. Keep protecting Tazuna, this will be all over soon." And he ran off into the mist, leaving him behind. Kakashi had a plan that was working out fine. With his blood on Zabuza's sword, his summons could find the ninja no problem. And after pulling out a scroll and smearing a line of his blood down the middle, he prepares for his jutsu and slams the scroll down, calling out, summoning jutsu, Earth Fang Pursuit. And the scroll sends Kanji into the cement, making the ground shake. Back inside the dome of ice mirrors was a beautiful dance of sparking steel as Haku tried to kill Sasuke, and Sasuke was jumping and spinning as he dodged and deflected. In another break of fighting, Haku stopped to catch his breath, survey his chakra levels, and scan Sasuke as he breathed heavy and shook. Judging by how much blood he has lost and how much he is slowing down, he doesn't have much time left. If I use a burst of chakra to rush him, I can hit a couple of vital spots, then hit another mirror to teleport my needle attacks as he falls down, and he'll stay down. And then it happened. Haku came forward so fast that when he attacked Sasuke, he was sent flying back, even though Sasuke deflected the attacks, all but one. A needle was stabbed into his chest, and it felt to Sasuke like it was just next to his heart, rubbing against the side of the metal with each heartbeat and with the tip poking the outside of his lung. It hurt, and he grimaced and coughed blood, closing his eyes. Haku had seen him close his eyes, and his own widened at the sign of his opportunity to kill him, no Sharingan to warn him. And as Haku turns inside the small two-dimensional mirror, he prepares his attacks to reflect out of all his mirrors. And that is what Sasuke's adolescent Sharingan shows him in the millisecond he opens his eyes. As he is still falling through the air, he was surrounded by flying needles. And there was nothing he could do about it. And as the weapons came in for the kill, most were deflected away from the shuriken that appeared out of nowhere in between the mirrors from the outside. What is echoed inside the ice mirror dome as Haku looks around? Even outside the dome he couldn't see anything or anyone. Then the mirror he was looking out of had a kunai with exploding tags wrapped on the handle embedded in the ice next to him. It exploded, and then many other explosions cracked across multiple mirrors around the dome. The explosions were strong enough to make the surface of the ice smoke and send vibrations through the mirrors, cracking in places. Haku kept looking around but seeing nothing. He must have some kind of camouflage jutsu, and I think I know who my attacker is. He finally made it to the fight. According to Master Zabuza's original plan, we would gang up on and kill the blonde leaf nin any time we have a chance. If I kill his blonde teammate in front of him, that may enrage Sasuke enough to make him vulnerable and easy to take out. The blonde doesn't have the Sharingan, and to thank him for the burns, I will take him out fast. More explosions rocked the outer surface of the dome, and Sasuke had taken the opportunity to stand up and pull out a couple of needles. He looked around for Haku, but the teen was appearing randomly in the mirrors now, one image of him running, another looking out. And then with the focus of his eyes he saw the mist ninja fly towards him with needles ready to pierce. But before Haku can make it to the bloody teen, he gets hit by an invisible force, and looking down at his chest he sees the sparking exploding tag on his chest. It blows, and turns the ice clone to powdered snow, then needles come out of nowhere and blanket the area with flying death until several found purchase on the invisible Naruto. Getting hit with the needle had popped the illusion jutsu that turned him see-through, made him appear out of nowhere. Grunting in pain, Naruto pulls out the needles in his shoulders and looks over at Sasuke, and stares. Sasuke was looking haggard, but his new red eyes were shining with the Sharingan. Naruto stared deeply for a few seconds, then turned to hear Haku say it was nice to see him come to save his friend. Whatever, kid, I say it's time to finish what we started in the forest. You ran away before I could get the point across just right. Naruto was smiling a challenge at the reflections of Haku. Sasuke tries another fireball jutsu, and both of them dodge and block needles. After a couple furious exchanges, clash more sparks, and it was getting clear that everyone except Naruto was looking exhausted. And as they rushed in again at another wall of ice, they noticed Haku's move. While they had been rushing forward with their arms behind their backs, the air had gotten really cold. And as the two leaf nins had been running forward, the water under their feet had turned to ice, making them slip. As they lost their balance, they were in awkward positions when their tree climbing training had kicked in, and they used chakra to find some friction on the ice. But Haku used the lapse in control to leap forward fast as a bullet, bringing 3 senbon together between his 2 hands to stab him down into Naruto's heart. That was what the before image Sasuke was seeing with his Sharingan was showing him that was about to happen. And in a split decision he rushed in, tackling Haku in time to push him out of the way. And Haku, still fast, spins and flips a couple of senbon in his fingers and then deposits them in several key parts on Sasuke's neck and chest. Naruto reacted in time to twist his body and kick out at Haku, sending him flying back to land, sliding to a stop. Naruto and Sasuke come to a stop and stare down their enemy. "I'll get him, Sasuke." Naruto. Stopping and looking over at the dark-haired teen, he stopped and stared when he saw just how pale Sasuke was, and the expression on his face was haunting. "Kami, I can't believe I took a hit for your sorry ass, you bastard." And then Sasuke moves like he is dizzy and falls down. Naruto walks over and looks down at Sasuke with a frown on his face, then he sees the new needles he got in the last exchange. The needles meant for Naruto had now taken purchase in Sasuke's neck and chest and were bleeding bad. Bending down to crouch next to Sasuke, Naruto asks, "Are you finished? Why did you defend me? We hate each other." Sasuke coughs blood and struggles to stay awake and says, "I don't know, I just reacted. I did respect your quest for power. I was on the same path, so I could kill high." Then Sasuke's head drops to the ground and his body goes limp, pushing some of the other needles in his body deeper. Naruto just stares. "No. I needed you, Sasuke. You were important." Haku had stood up and asked Naruto if this was the first time he has ever seen a friend die in battle. Haku steps back and melts into one of his mirrors, saying, "I would tell you to get used to it, but I need to kill you now." Naruto still just stared. Something was twisting his guts and his eyes were itching as his thoughts raced at the reality of losing Sasuke. And the rage he hadn't felt since he was a fox demon was building up inside of him. And so he did like he would when he was a fox and furious, he roared. He roared on and on as he felt emotions he hadn't thought about in a long time, loss, and the loss of a valuable person. And that was it, like a pressure that had been agonizingly building up behind a cork in a bottle somewhere behind his navel. Something felt like it popped. And after the cork shot open, a fresh wave of warmth spread throughout his chakra system. And for the first time in over 12 years, Kurama Naruto felt something familiar from his old life. And like an inferno, the red chakra blasts outside of his body, visibly pluming around his small frame as it tensed. Muscles pulsed and tightened, getting bigger and stronger. His claws thickened and got pointier, so did his ears. And Naruto's face was twisted in rage, but his whiskers had thickened and his eyes seemed to shine while his eyelashes turned deep black. And with another pulse of chakra that felt like a river flowing through him, he roars out as his chakra begins to swirl around him and gathers above his head into a shape. As the shape condensed, Haku's eyes widen as he sees the face of red chakra take the form of a fox-like creature. Its eyes blast murderously with a strange mixed glow, glared killing intent into the mirror holding his real body. "I've never felt such malice before. It's like his desire to kill me is tangible." Haku prepares senbon and stares into the eyes of someone planning murder. Then when the red chakra died down to a small aura of fire around the wild-looking teen, he had moved so fast forward that Haku attacked out of instinct without thinking properly about his aim. The needles were all deflected by the lightning-fast slashes of claws, and in a burst of speed the demonic teen sends his claws into the mirror, breaking it apart. Haku had jumped out of the mirror in the last second and was flying away when his ankle was grabbed. Looking down, he watched the blonde pull him down, swinging him face first into the concrete. Then, lifting Haku up, he lets go of the Mist Nin's ankle to send 1-inch claws into his abdomen. Grunting in pain, Haku rolls backwards and leaps away towards one of his mirrors. He makes it inside in time to see Naruto flying forward to spear his claws into the mirror. "I can't match his speed. I need to end this now." After Naruto breaks the mirror into a bunch of pieces, Haku comes out of a piece big enough for him to squeeze through, bringing his needles down towards the blonde's neck. But before the strike could land, Naruto spins out of the way, then lands like a gymnast and twisting back to slash another clawed hand into Haku's back. Again another attack failed, so trying to run back to a mirror for safety, he turned his back to Naruto. But Naruto was just too fast. Grabbing a hold of Haku's wrist, he pulses even more chakra out, making his aura blaze, and like the tree climbing training had taught him, he gathered chakra into his fist. Then looking at the masked boy trapped in his grab who was trying to stay standing from the force of his chakra, Naruto's eyes narrow and take aim right for Haku's left cheek. And like a blast from a cannon, Naruto launches his punch into the mask with a loud crack. Back on the other end of the bridge, as Kakashi pulsed his chakra into the scroll and the hounds forming underground, is when he first felt it. A pulse like a rising wave washing over him on a stormy day at sea. It was hot like fire, but full of animal malice and rage. Kakashi knew this chakra, but haven't felt it for 12 years. No, that's the nine-tailed fox's chakra. Now that's one more problem that I'm going to have to deal with. If it comes down to it, the third Hokage gave me that to use. For now, go Packen, follow my blood scent. And as if his summoned dog pack had heard his thought, the sound of them burrow through the ground and close in on Zabuza started ringing alarms in the Mist Ninja's survival instincts. The first two bite at the Mist Nin's legs, and when the rest burst out of the ground they surround and pin Zabuza there with iron jaws. Walking forward as the mist begins to lift, Kakashi begins to see Zabuza being held by his hounds. I wouldn't move if I were you. One word from me and my dogs will be picking pieces of you out of their teeth. Zabuza just glares as the growling creatures bite a little harder each time he resists their hold. Then they both feel the second pulse of demon chakra come from the direction of the ice dome. Kakashi decides to end this quick and starts going through the hand signs for his personal lightning blade jutsu. Well Zabuza, it's been fun, but now we end this. Then lightning begins to dance in the Jonan's palm, and Kakashi rushes forward bringing his hand up for the kill. Zabuza was looking at his death and he knew it. If he struggled he died, if he did nothing he died. From the feel of his right arm, it was totally useless since a canine had split the ball joint of his shoulder. All he can do is growl out a loud roar of his final challenge, facing his death. Back at the dome of ice. Naruto's punch had made a solid crunching sound like the crack of a baseball bat, and sent Haku flying through one of his mirrors and soars through the air for 20 feet before rolling to a stop. The mirror prison breaks apart around Naruto as he rushes forward to finish his prey. The quickly moving Naruto was speeding toward the slowly rising Haku, whose mask had cracked and fallen to the ground, revealing the face of the innocent-looking boy. And as Naruto closes the gap between them he jumps into the air brandishing his claws back in a prepared swipe. And Haku closes his eyes and accepts his fate. Then Naruto slashes his claws into the flesh of Haku's face, scraping against bone, tearing the flesh. When Haku landed on his back he sprayed blood from his pained cough through the open gash, exposing part of his jaw, teeth, and cheekbone. Landing on his tiptoes, Naruto spins, bringing his other clawed hand in the shape of a spear on a direct path for Haku's heart. Haku sees this and leans his head back in pain, looking out across the thinning mist of the bridge thinking, Master Zabuza, I have failed you. Then looking through the mist and hearing his master's growled challenge, he comprehends in his pain-filled mind that Zabuza was in the same position as him. About to die. Training now kicked in as time slowed down just moments before his death, and he makes a seal he has practiced over and over for just this moment his whole ninja career. And before Naruto's spear hand can dive into Haku's chest, the boy slips again into a sheet of ice under his back. And before Naruto could roar his anger at being tricked out of his kill again, he feels the blast of air caused by Kakashi's lightning blade. Then squinting his eyes through the mist looking for his prey, he sees what looks like Haku in front of Kakashi. Rushing forward to finish his kill, he keeps his hands flexed out ready to strike. But the sight he came upon shocked him to stand still. There in the rapidly clearing mist stood Kakashi with his hand stuck through the spine of Haku, who had half of his body sticking out of the ice mirror he used to teleport. Zabuza stood there covered in the teen's blood, staring at the stuck still corpse, missing half his face. Then the dogs disappeared with puffs of smoke after being dispelled by needles thrown by Haku. Kakashi looked down at the teen as he tried to release his hand from his warm bloody torso, and Zabuza had taken the opportunity to bring his sword down on the stuck Jonin. Kakashi jumps away and slides his hand out of Haku, laying him down on the ground. Naruto was so stunned that all he could do was stare. He was so lost in his thoughts that he didn't notice the demon chakra receding. He died? On purpose for that man? Why would anyone do that? Why would someone give up their life for someone like that? I would never, could never do that for anyone. But, even the old man, when he split us up, used the last of his strength for our lives, what thing could I ever want to sacrifice my life for? To give up immortality for something? Sasuke died for me too. Why? Why? No. I care only about myself and my power. At least now we can kill the bitch with no eyebrows. Kakashi and Zabuza fought on and on until Kakashi landed a kunai into Zabuza's shoulders, making the Mist Nin drop his massive sword and stand limp with both arms dangling and a kunai at his throat. And then all of a sudden, a spear embedded into the cement a few feet away from Zabuza. Looking up, everyone turned to face the mob gathered behind Goto, who was standing there with a very superior look on his face. I am over this ZABUZA, you're all talk and can't deliver, so take a good look at your replacements. They're cheaper than you and are going to kill those leaf scum and you. Now die. The mob yells and laughs insanely, and Zabuza looks over his shoulder and says, well, you gonna still kill me, I ain't going after the bridge builder anymore. Kakashi takes the knife away and says, no, I've got bigger problems now. Sakura and Tazuna had both ran over to join the group, and she looked to the Jonin, Sensei, what do we do now? You've got jutsu to handle them, right? Shaking his silver head, Kakashi looks at Sakura, I've used too much chakra to use a big jutsu. We need to think here. I'm going. All eyes turn to Zabuza, and Naruto laughs looking at the bloody mess that Zabuza was. You look like you're going to fall over right now, you may think you're a demon but you're just a human about to die. Then Sakura looked at Naruto, and out of impulse looked to the right of Naruto, and noticed that Sasuke was missing. Hey Naruto, where's Sasuke? Looking over at her, he looks her in the eye and then slowly, and deliberately lifts his left hand into a fist and points with his thumb over his shoulder behind him. With a frown on her face, she turns her head, and gasps. She and Tazuna both run back to where Sasuke was lying, and Naruto looks back saying, yeah, I guess the rest of us will deal with reality over here, Pinky. Then Zabuza surprises Naruto and he laughs at him, yeah kid, I'm going to die. I've lost someone precious to me because of my pride, and because he was the perfect tool he died for me. Biting at the bandages to tear him away, Zabuza turns his angry eyes on Naruto and he smiles his fangs at the bloody little boy. Naruto looks him in the eye and says, I can't understand you people, your kid died to keep you alive, and now instead of running off to lick your wounds you're going to die in a blaze of glory. I can understand keeping your honor intact, but what honor is going to be gained by being killed by a bunch of inbred doorknob fuckers? At least let me kill you. Zabuza laughs again, more wholeheartedly, and looks into Naruto's eyes. You really are just like me, kid. Same cutthroat attitude. But it took my whole life to understand this. Even a demon ninja who has killed and washed his hands with blood can still have a heart in the end. Haku was telling me this, but I never really listened till now. I was living for my ideals and my goals, but I pushed myself harder for that kid without even knowing it. And now, with my death so close, with Haku gone, now I feel that my last act is to show a little demon how a warrior demon faces his death. Naruto's face has never been called expressive, he always looks angry and that frown was still on his face, but his eyes were in wonder. He stared at Zabuza and was in awe of this, and he felt compelled to pay close attention to Zabuza's end. Turning to look back at Goto, who was issuing orders and swinging his diamond cane, Zabuza's smile turned predatory. Kid, what's your name? They call me Naruto Uzumaki, why? They call you that, do they? Well, not anymore. I have 2 gifts for you as long as you grant my one final request. First, I hereby name you, the Demon of the Leaf. Hey, and second, to prove your stasis to the ninja world, I leave you the demon's sword Kubikiri Bocho. At the last statement, he jerks his head over to the sword, which had been embedded into the side of the bridge when he lost control of his arm. Naruto looked to the sword 3 times his size and looked back at his benefactor. And what is it that you want from me? Still staring forward, focused like an eagle on his target, he says over his shoulder, I need something simple, something so I can teach Goto his lesson for crossing me. Throw me your kunai. Looking out at the mob of dirty thugs with many mismatched weapons, show me just how savage you can be. And with the flick of his finger and wrist, Naruto pulls a kunai from the holster in his thigh and tosses it to the fangs in Zabuza's mouth. And just as he was about to rush forward to exact his vengeance for Goto's double-cross, Zabuza feels 2 searing hot pains explode out from each of his shoulders. Looking down, Zabuza could see that 2 more kunai had been stabbed to the hilt into his shoulders, having the near-hole blade stick forward like 2 metal spikes growing from his bones. Laughing and muffling past the kunai in his teeth, you sick demented little bastard. I named you well, little demon, and thank you for the new toys. Roaring through his teeth, Zabuza takes off like a shot towards the mob. Goto, like the coward he was, wailed and ran to the back of the group to use his thugs as his shield. The mercenaries prepared their weapons, most in the front were laughing nervously, and one even dared to exclaim that the fool was so injured he would die too easily. And he was the first to die, feeling the tip of the kunai in Zabuza's teeth catch him by the windpipe and tear a wide hole in his throat. Zabuza kept moving, running into the gaps in the crowd. He would sway back and forth like a capoeira fighter, slashing with his head and spilling guts with his shoulders. As the mob surged, trying to surround him with steel death, Zabuza would jump flip over them, killing a few as he lands. He was so skilled that even without his arms, Zabuza was still blocking enemy attacks with all 3 odd-positioned kunai. But every 10 he would kill, he would receive a new injury. His limp arms now had deep gashes and his back had 2 spears sticking out the back. And the pain of 3 more spears makes him falter enough for the thugs to run in, raising their weapons, cutting off all hope of escape this time. No, I'm not going to make it to Goto. Then a shower of blood spray hits everyone as a wall of bodies gets cut in half by a small blonde swinging a massive sword. The sword was so big that by the time Naruto finished his swing, he almost falls over as the weight tips him backwards. Then, pulsing chakra to his arms, Naruto jumps into the air, spinning the massive blade around like a propeller, and while landing takes out another wall of thugs. Zabuza, seeing his opening, wastes no time running straight at his intended target, Goto. And the older businessman and gangster was pissing himself, as the shape of a bloody Zabuza rushing at him had to be the most horrifying visage he had ever seen. In his horror, Zabuza even seemed to morph into a hideous demon of Goto's nightmares. When Zabuza made it to Goto, he rammed the kunai between his teeth into his chest, aimed for his heart. Goto is still alive and brave enough to try and taunt the dying demon before him. Ha, trying to find your little balls again, eh Goto? You don't seem to understand what you're facing here. I am a demon ninja here to take your soul with me back to hell. And I promise you this, Goto, I'm going to do this over and over for eternity. And without another word, Zabuza tears the kunai that missed Goto's heart out with his teeth and slashes the little man's throat once, twice. Then he uses his capoeira skills to twist his body and swing his dead arms, diving the blades in his shoulder into Jayuto's body. And after Zabuza had made a full circle around the little man, he had run the kunai in his left shoulder up from Goto's hip to the opposite rib. Then, diving his right shoulder forward, Zabuza makes another slash from rib to opposite hip, making a large X in the doomed man's abdomen. Then Goto's last sight was Zabuza's face turn even more demonic as he dives the kunai in his teeth into the bloody opening, and using the blunt side of the kunai he catches a loop of the man's gut and pulls the fleshy organ out like a rope. And continuing his pull, Goto gurgles past the blood in agony as Zabuza backkicks him so hard it sends him flying off the edge of the bridge. Goto could think very little past his pain, but he knew he was going to die soon and it would be all over as he rushed towards the water. But karma wasn't kind to the self-serving man. Suddenly a fresh wave of agony tears into him as his intestine that had been pulled out of him had caught one of the rebar poles sticking out of the edge of the concrete bridge. And instead of a watery death, Goto died slowly, feeling his internal organs tear from his own body weight. And after 5 minutes hanging there, his corpse finally fell into the sea, a bloody end for a man who crossed a demon. Satisfied with the old man hanging by his guts, Zabuza turns away before he falls to the sea to look back at the group of thugs. Naruto had very clumsily continued to kill the mercenaries with the huge sword, and to keep him from dying, Kakashi had joined in too. Now there was less than 20 left and many were running away towards the village and some even jumped off the side of the bridge. Zabuza began slowly making his way forward in a daze. He had now lost enough blood that he was not thinking clearly, and his only thought was, Haku. Stumbling over dead bodies, the dying ninja falls to his knees looking and calling out to Haku with his soul. Hey, Zabuza. Looking over through the fog in his mind to look at the blonde demon ninja, Zabuza's spirit could hear the challenge in his voice. You wanna keep your honor, you wanna die like a warrior. Naruto was standing there with both hands on the sword pulled back ready to swing. And like a beam of light cutting through the fog in his mind, Zabuza accepted. With a roar and the last of his strength he runs like a mad dog towards the demon of the leaf, planning on diving one of his shoulder kunai into his flesh, his final act. Death of a violent man ending violently. And Naruto, with a yell and a flowing pulse of chakra, flexes the muscles in his arms rippling down to his fingertips before heaving the massive blade into a upward cut, cleaving Zabuza's head from his shoulders. And that Naruto, Kakashi was saying from beside him as he lowered his headband, is how if you live your life as a warrior, it will end. I am amazed at you, Naruto, even past your ruthlessness and your cunning, that was honorable for you. Not to mention, by taking his head we can make some money for the village and take Zabuza officially out of the bingo book. Then a commotion on the other end of the bridge caught their attention. The thugs who had run for their lives past Sakura and Tazuna had run into a mob of villagers who were in the process of beating to death or throwing the mercenaries off the bridge. Well, they showed up too late to be useful, and look at that. Little Inari grew a backbone. Naruto was pointing to the little boy who had just shot an arrow through a thug's head and had his mother next to him bashing in some guy's brains with a frying pan. But the next thing that caught their attention was Sakura slowly pulling up Sasuke from the ground, and the dark-haired teen gingerly pulled the needles from his body. And for a few seconds, Kakashi was astonished. Looking over to see Naruto's reaction had made him stay stuck still. Naruto looked shocked, relieved, he looked happy. And as quick as it had happened, Naruto's face turned back to his angry, sinister gleam, but Kakashi could see the faint smile pull at the corners of his mouth. Well, Zabuza, it seems like you were right. Even a demon has a heart. The next day had been all clean up. Bodies had been wrapped up and blood cleaned from the new bridge. And the ninjas had taken the wrapped up bodies of the mist nin up to a hill overlooking their final battlefield to bury and stab a kunai each through their mist headbands to the wood posts marking the graves. Come on, Naruto, just leave that sword here in Zabuza's grave. Looking over to Sakura, he glares at her. To hell with that. The eyebrowless freak even told me to take it, so leave it alone. What are you going to do with 7-foot-long sword? You're only 4'5" after all. I told you to leave it alone. You wanna see how good I am with this thing? I have heard you say you wanted to drop a few pounds, how about 30? Kakashi walked over and put a hand on the butt of the hilt of the cleaver sword, and hands Naruto a scroll from his vest. Naruto, until you hit a growth spurt I recommend you leave the sword in here. This is a small storage scroll that can be easily added to your ninja gear, and you can take out the sword when you need it. Grabbing the scroll, Naruto growls under his breath that he knows what it is, and then seals away the massive sword inside the small scroll. Then Naruto and Sakura follow the other two's gaze to look out at the ocean, Wave Village, the bridge, and the graves. It was a beautiful landscape, and the scene with the falling sunlight was surreal. And the quiet was interrupted by Sasuke. I don't get it. Everyone looks at the dark-haired teen as he talks about his thoughts. This kid was way out of my league before I awoke my Sharingan. He could have killed me with 1 or 2 needles, but like he said, he was giving me a chance to fight back. Then he drops me the same way he took out Zabuza back by the lake. He went out of his way to keep me alive. Naruto, staring at the young ninja's grave, decided to add his 2 cents of confusion, and he jumps in the way of the attack meant for Zabuza, to save him. Why did he do that? Why would anyone do that? Sakura, thinking on this information, looks sadly up to Kakashi for an answer. Zabuza used Haku as a tool to kill and die for him. Is this normal in the ninja world? How can anyone choose to live like that, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi had a rare opportunity of having all of Team 7 looking to him to defer some knowledge to his 3 young students. Well, it's a difficult set of questions. And the answers are different for each person. And yes, Sakura, ninja are seen in this world most of the time as tools to the means of an end. We are hired and bound to duty to finish the jobs requested of us. And since we live in a world where we can die at any time and are expected to kill, we can be seen as disposable. Most ninja villages, including ours, teach us to bury our feelings or kill our hearts. Some can't. Many who choose this ninja life don't think about these problems until years into their careers. But when we truly accept that we are willing to kill and die living this life, then a ninja has to think about what they are willing to die for. And more importantly, a ninja will be remembered for all the things he could accomplish before facing the almost inevitable fate of a ninja. I'm not saying that you're each not going to make it to retirement, but as the memorial stone teaches us, we can never be sure of the outcome. We each need to live our lives trying to accomplish our goals and grab a small piece of whatever makes us happy. So like I said, the answer is up to you. For me, I read. Each of them were quiet as they took in the information. Each thinking on what their own goals in life are and where they would take them someday, death or happiness. Then the answer is simple. Naruto's declaration had everyone look at the blonde. If we're going to die doing this, then every day and every second must be used to get what we want. Every day like it could be the last, every day and every moment. If I spend my time worrying about death, then I will be as useless as Inari. I will work hard every day until I reach my goal, the day that everyone in the Leaf Village looks up and knows that I am the strongest. Naruto's confidence had brought life back the eyes of his team. Sasuke had taken the words as a challenge. Not gonna happen, Naruto. Now that I have the Sharingan, you get to look up and see my power eclipse yours. Sakura's goals concerning Sasuke only increased as she thought on how much harder she would work to get his affections. And Kakashi could only smile under his mask. Naruto, you have changed so much on this trip. It was a good decision after all to complete this FUBA mission. 2 days later the bridge was completed. They even had time to make a grand entrance gate with a large plaque that read, "The Great Team 7 Bridge," and under the title was the kanji for courage. That was where members of the Wave Village had assembled to say goodbye to their heroes. In front was Tazuna and his family shaking hands with Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke. And Naruto was standing further away from the group closer to the end of the bridge on the mainland saying, "Let's go already, my work here is done." Sakura yells over her shoulder, "You're so rude, Naruto, come on and be nice for a change. They were even nice enough to name the bridge after us." "What do you mean by us? I can't remember you doing anything useful." Sakura's fuming was cut off by Inari saying, "It's because of you we found the courage to stand up and fight back. So thank you all Leaf Ninjas, even you Naruto." No one had noticed since everyone was smiling so hard that Naruto had already started walking away from the amassed group. Kakashi sighs and turns to face their former clients rubbing the back of his head. "Well, that's Naruto for ya, we should be on our way now, take care." Kakashi turns and waves goodbye and sends a wink at Tsunami as Team 7 begins its journey home. They take the same path towards the forest that borders with Fire Country and ultimately the Leaf Village that they took on the way to the Wave Village. And they walked in relative silence, except for the random question from Sakura to Sasuke. For the next 4 hours they walk at the same pace until Kakashi had begun feeling a few heavy raindrops hit his head. Kakashi calls the teens to follow him and they head into the forest. "Since we are another day's walk to the next town, let's make camp for the night." And they walked a bit before they found an open spot with a tree that had grown sideways and created a natural umbrella above the small clearing. Each of them went through the normal motions of setting camp, rolling out their sleeping bags and arranging their schedule on who would be on guard. "I'm going to go and gather some firewood. We might as well take advantage of this dry spot and not be cold." Sasuke didn't wait for Kakashi's nod of approval to start making his way into the forest looking for dry branches. In just a few seconds he was out of sight. And Naruto was next to make his way to the edge of the clearing. Sakura had noticed before Kakashi had. "Hey Naruto, where are you going?" Stopping still with his hand on the tree closest to him, he looks one eye over his shoulder with an unusual look unlike his normal glare. To Sakura it looked more like a threat. "I'm going to refill my canteen, leave me alone," and then walks away out of sight. Kakashi went right back to reading his book, but Sakura's eyes lingered on the spot Naruto was just standing. What was with that look he gave me? And not only that, but his voice was different too. It sounded so dark. Shaking her head and turning around to go back and look at her own canteen, she noticed Naruto's pack had been barely touched. And his canteen was still attached to the side of it. Further in the forest, Sasuke absent-mindedly walked through the forest kicking at twigs and branches looking for dry kindling. Things are different now. Now with the Sharingan activated in my eyes, I will learn even faster than before. I can copy jutsu just by looking at it, I can see things before they happen, and I won't be taken down by genjutsu. Naruto won't be making me look bad anymore. Slap. The sound that pulled him out of his thoughts reminded him of hands coming together fast, hand signs. Turning around fast to scan the area, Sasuke activated his Sharingan and saw Naruto standing a few yards back facing away from Sasuke. And he was right, Naruto was slowly and steadily going through hand signs while whispering each sign's name under his breath. "What are you doing, Naruto?" As Sasuke began walking forward to get next to the blonde, he tried to recognize the series of hand signs with his Sharingan, but missing the beginning series of hand signs he couldn't understand the swirls of chakra he was seeing. Stopping 10 feet away, Sasuke watches Naruto with caution. He wouldn't put it past Naruto to attack him, but he was curious to see what new jutsu he was about to use, so he stayed there watching him. HEBI. Naruto finished his hand signs and with the last word turns to face Sasuke with his hands up, palms facing the ground. Naruto, with a maniacal smile spreading across his face, thunders out loud, "Kekkeigenkaikaitou." Then falling to his knees and slamming his palms in the dirt begins his jutsu, creating a bright circle of white and red light. And in the seconds the jutsu activated, Sasuke suddenly feels a strong pull from behind his navel, yank him forward until he was face to face with Naruto. Staring into Naruto's sinister smiling face, he understands when the blonde yells, "Bloodline thief jutsu." Fear widens his eyes, and then the pressure behind his navel that was pinning him to the ground facing Naruto changed horrifyingly. Sasuke felt as though the pull in his navel was like a tug from a finger in his belly button. But now it felt as if someone had grabbed his belly button with two hands and pulled apart, making a round opening. And then his chakra was being pulled out of the opening into the circle, and something was moving inside the hole, filling up the inside of his body like acid in his veins. And the pain was getting worse. And since he was being forced to stay still with his eyes open looking right in Naruto's eyes, he could tell that the blonde was feeling the exact same thing. Both began growling in the pain, and then all of a sudden the light in the circle changed when a pulse of chakra burst from Naruto. Now it looked like fire. The pain was now making them both gasp out, and Sasuke can't help himself yelling, "GRRRDAMNUNARUUGRRRRAATOOOOO, leap goo." Exposing fangs, Naruto yells back, "Damn you Sasuke, GRRRRRAAAAAH, stop fighting me and give me the EYESSSS." Sasuke was stunned into pained silence when once again the pain increased as both of them poured out more chakra and more being pulsed in. But not only that, Sasuke thought through the pain to think, he said that I'm fighting him, but I'm trying to, and everything I do makes the pain worse. Feeling the sensation of battery acid had now filled Sasuke to the brim, and like tears he could feel chakra pulling in his eyes and leaking forward. The same was happening to Naruto, and between them the liquid-looking chakra was pooling like a mist and began swirling around each other like a yin-yang. And in the center of the yin-yang like red chakra it condensed and became black like the pupil and iris of a red eye. Gasping and looking back into Naruto's eyes, something flashed. For a second Sasuke had seen like a reflection of his Sharingan flashing just for a moment in Naruto's eyes. Then it happened again just for a moment in Naruto's eyes, his slitted pupils got more compact and black comma marks opened and closed again like blinking eyes. Terror gripped Sasuke. Naruto was trying to steal the Sharingan from him. "NNOOOOOOO, I won't let this happen, why you're not an Uchiha." But the energy he used to yell felt like the last drops in a bottle. And before him in the strange swirling red chakra between their faces the eye began having three faint comma marks start to swirl around the black center. The pain was so bad he didn't think he would have the strength to stay conscious much longer, but worse, he felt like he was dying. He was even starting to think desperately about calling for help. Sasuke. Bursting out of the foliage was Sakura. She was scratched and bleeding where the trees and bushes she ran straight through had cut her. She stopped and looked back and forth between the two. Both were looking out of the corner of their eyes at her. "Naruto, you let him go right now or else I will." She didn't have a chance to say what she would do to Naruto as she stomped forward to hit the blonde, because as soon as she stepped into the flaming red circle she felt a strange pull like someone had stuck a finger in her belly button. And she was yanked forward from an invisible force into the circle, hands flat on the ground on her knees, head locked forward to stare wide-eyed into her two teammates' eyes. And then the pain opened up her stomach and poured her chakra into the mix. And then she screamed, and screamed, and screamed. She desperately wanted to close her eyes, to flex a muscle and roll into a ball. She was in agony. At least Sasuke and Naruto had the chance to let the pain build up, but she was feeling the same intensity as they were feeling now. She was thinking that she wanted to die, and the look in her eyes was portraying how she felt. And that's what the other two saw. Each of them was staring into each other's eyes, and after Sakura's chakra added to the jutsu, the Sharingan spinning cloud got thicker and the black comma marks were no longer see-through. After seeing that, Sasuke looked up into Sakura's pain and fear-filled eyes. Then into Naruto's, and when Sakura's cry turned even more pain-filled he turned back to hers. Each of them were only able to move their eyes, looked back and forth between them as acid boiled their blood. And as the pain spiked again, Sasuke felt himself lose any and all control over his body, staring into Sakura's green, no, red eyes, and he just let go. And from outside the clearing through the trees the light pulsed brighter than before like. And then light expanded out like an explosion through the trees, making Kakashi stop on the tree branch he was going to jump from next. When the wave of light and chakra passed him by and nothing happened to him, he continued rushing forward. He had heard Sakura screaming from a distance, and as soon as he saw the light he knew something really bad was going on. And as he lands in the clearing looking down in the center through the rising smoke from the charred earth he finds his students. Each of them laying on their backs as steam and smoke lifted from the charred bodies, but the thickest steam was coming out of their eyes. SASUKE. Sakura. Naruto. Say something, what the hell happened here? That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.